Let's block out the noise, separating facts from fiction, and expose the destructive Democrat agenda for what it is, a total and complete farce. And we have a couple of gentlemen here who have opinions and insight. Here to react, Joe Concha, The Hill media opinion columnist and Fox News contributor, and Jason Rantz, Seattle radio host. You know him well. All right, first of all, let me say to you, Joe, your job is to, thank God, look at other media so we don't have to. Is this surprising to you at all? It kind of all seems to be crumbling in on them, and it seemed pretty obvious to us what was happening.
Yeah, Tammy, lots to unpack there. Bravo, golf clap on that monologue. And none of what you said is inaccurate. I'll take the media perspective on Smollett just to start off here. Many in the industry portrayed him as a victim of a hate crime, didn't even question his story, all because the ultimate target was Donald Trump supporters who all just, happen to be wandering around Chicago in sub-zero weather while carrying nooses and bleach and hunting gay actors of color at 2 a.m. because apparently, I guess that's the thing in the Windy City. You also mentioned Adam Schiff. Here's a guy, if you cloned a combination of Avenatti and Smollett, that's who would come out, basically. Right? And Schiff, Tammy, he lies for years, right, about having tangible proof of collusion. And what happens after his claims are debunked? He's awarded with a lucrative book deal and media tour, right? And then finally, I'll leave it here. There's this effort you described by many media to appease the Biden administration in trying to spin the unspinnable, right? 40-year high inflation. Hey, gas prices are down 7 cents. CNN calls it, quote, an antidote for inflation, unquote. Skyrocketing violent crime, looting, largely ignored. Like the Waukesha massacre, right? Because of who carried it out. Open border, won't open border. I could go on, but we have finite time, Tammy. No apologies, no self-reflection, just pious hubris.
And Jason, as an observer and a critic of what's going on in the street with government and politicians, you see the everyday impact of lies when they come out, of not reporting things when it's important. What's your take on where we're at today?
I look at what's going on and I say Democrats in and out of the media are pushing a very specific narrative that happens to align with their own political goals. So they don't really need to be held accountable to any of the facts. So when you see that fraud Jussie Smollett making a claim that never made sense to begin with, it didn't matter whether or not it was true. It mattered that it fit into that end goal that the people want to push, this fundamental change of this country and our systems. So what came, for example, of the claims that the biggest threat is white supremacy in this country? What came of that? Racism exists. There's no doubt about it. There are such a thing as racist, but there's no massive white supremacy threat. When I looked into the actual number, the uptick in anti-Asian hate crimes here in Seattle, what I was supposed to find was a whole bunch of white people committing them. But no, that wasn't what was going on. It was black people who were mostly homeless and dealing with mental health issues. That's not a white supremacy issue, but that term is used intentionally because it aligns with these talking points about the need to dismantle systems of oppression like police departments and the criminal justice system, even farmers markets. So they're doing this on purpose. They're framing stories around white supremacy because they want to prime us to accept their narrative ahead of pushing these policies.
And you're absolutely right. And Joe, what that requires is believing that your neighbor is evil, that your coworker is evil, that you can't trust your doctor. You can't trust the police, certainly. We've been told that every system is corrupt. Isn't that what the Democrats and what these narratives are meant to do, which is divide us by using false narratives, hoaxes, lies overall?
And not just the Democratic Party, Tammy, but the media itself. Gallup had a poll out last year that said that 84% of the American people say that the media bears some of the blame for divide in this country because that's what sells. Conflict sells. Yes, exactly. And even last summer, during the summer of 2020, the summer of love, we heard about these mostly peaceful riots. You see a reporter from CNN or MSNBC, and behind him it looks like the Nakatomi Plaza at the end of Die Hard. That was basically like a tacit approval of what was happening. So now we see, fast forward to 2021, all this crime that's happening. It's because that we excused it in 2020. We said that the cause was bigger than the virus, and now look where we are.
That's a great point. I mean, as we think, so much has happened. When you think back, and we all mentioned certain events that occurred, you think, oh, my gosh, that was just like recently. All of this happened to us. And I have such great respect for those of you who are in front dealing with this on a daily basis. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. And the American people who are shown in the polls that they're getting it, that they have not been gaslit. So my thanks to you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Great stuff. We got a lot more coming up, of course. Now.